Good morning and welcome to Wednesday, May 16th council meeting. We're here at Alderley on Elizabeth Street South. This morning we are going to hear a national anthem a little different than normal. It is prepared by St. Roch Catholic Secondary School, which has, we believe, one of the best music programs in the province. They've played at many of our events, and they are very proud of all their accomplishments. We're going to be playing an updated O Canada. It was recorded by the grade 12 vocal majors at St. Roch Catholic Secondary School. The grade 12 local course encourages students to create their own work that incorporates the knowledge they've accumulated over 4 years in a regional arts program. This recording was prepared by the students with the guidance of their teacher, Mr. Mark McCallum. Would you please all rise for the singing of our national anthem? This will be followed by a moment of personal reflection.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you. Good morning and welcome everyone to our regular council meeting of May 16th, 2018. All members of council are present this morning. If I could just remind everybody today, please ensure all of your cell phones and other electronic devices are turned off or placed in a non-audible mode during the course of the meeting. Council members, there are a few agenda changes identified in the package in front of you. I'm going to ask our City Clerk, Mr. Fay, to review the changes for today's agenda since its publication last Friday.
Mayor Jeffrey, members of council, members of staff, and the public attending or watching today's meeting. These are the changes to today's agenda. Item 3.2, minutes from the City Council meeting, the special City Council meeting of last Monday, May 7th. Those minutes are now available and distributed to members this morning. Item 10.3, minutes from the Planning and Development Committee meeting of this past Monday evening, May 14th. Have been prepared and are distributed to members this morning. Item 18.1, which is normally a briefing report from the Office of the Chief Administrative Officer regarding various government relations matters. There is no briefing report for this meeting, as there is no business to report at this time. And in regard to the closed session, item 21.5, listed on the public agenda, litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board, a local planning appeal tribunal proceeding. Information related to that item was distributed to members at their desks this morning, and those are the changes, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Are there any other additions or changes? Councillor Moore.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to ask, out of respect for the folks who have attended from the downtown because they have to get to their businesses, if we could deal with the, out of the committee reports, the reimagined issue. I know we don't have any delegations, but if we could deal with that following the delegations or following announcements, I think it's probably best so that they can get to their place of business.
First item is in consent, so they will be dealt with ordinarily as part of the agenda. We have a number of delegations, but they are the first ones up, I think. So we'll do our best.
No, I think
What are you suggesting?
I'm suggesting the Committee of Council minutes.
Before the announcements?
No, immediately following the announcements. If we could bring forward the recommendation on the Downtown Reimagined and deal with that matter first so that the folks from the downtown can get back to work.
So before 6.1?
Yes, please.
Okay. Councillor Gibson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I've been asked to sponsor a announcement, so I think I'm correct, Mr. Clerk, it would be 5.5. It's Jack Jones on the Pratt-Willie Research Canada. So I'll sponsor it. I don't need to speak on it, but I'd be happy to sponsor it.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Willens?
That's what I was going to add.
Okay. Councillor Pleshy?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to add an in-camera item, proposed item 21.6, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board, surplus property disposition matter, please.
Okay. Anybody else? So I have a motion moved by Councillor Bowman, seconded by Councillor Willens, that the agenda for the regular council meeting as amended be approved. All those in favor? That's carried. Do any members have any declaration of pecuniary interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act for any matter to be considered on today's agenda? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, if you could note that. We're now ready to move to the next item of public business on today's council agenda. This is item 3. These are the minutes. We have the following council minutes before us today. 3.1 minutes of the City Council of the regular meeting of May 2nd, and 3.2 minutes of the City Council of the special meeting of May 7th. I have a motion moved by Councillor Willens, seconded by Councillor Bowman. All those in favor? That's carried. Item 4 is our consent agenda. The items listed with an asterisk on the agenda are considered to be routine and non-controversial. The consent motion is here to adopt this matter on today's agenda without the need for a separate discussion on the item unless a member requests a separate discussion. Does any member wish to add an item or remove an item from the consent motion agenda? Seeing none, I have a motion moved by Councillor Bowman, seconded by Councillor Willens. I'm not sure if this is the consent motion. Yes, it is. Okay. That the consent motion be approved. All those in favor? That's carried. Our first announcement today, on today's agenda is regarding the Pet Value Walk for Guide Dogs, which is Sunday, May 27th, 2018. Wesley Copeland is here. Good morning, Wesley. He's here from the Chinguzi Lions Club. Councillor Pleshy, you're the council sponsor. Did you want to speak now or afterwards? Okay. Welcome, Wesley.
Thank you. I'd like to invite the City Council and all of Brampton to the 18th annual Chinguzi Lions Walk for Guide Dogs / 8th annual Len Copeland Memorial Walk, happening Sunday, May 27th at Chinguzi Park at the Ski Chalet parking lot. Registration 9 o'clock. Walk is at 10. We will be having lots of fun. I also was at a convention 3 weeks ago now. Time flies. 3 weeks ago now, and I was talking to somebody from Hamilton, and they have challenged the city of Brampton to raise money. They have raised, so far, they have raised $10,000. So we need to match that or beat it. So I'm really asking the city to help us raise money for this. Thank you.
Thank you, Wesley. We love a challenge. Councillor Pleshy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And Wesley, I don't ever want Hamilton to beat us in anything. So I'm also going to put out a challenge just to all members of the public and every staff, council. If you can raise, donate anything to this great cause, it's very much well worth it. I'm also going to request that through Harry's office, reach out to communications and ask for them to put out just a social media blitz per se about how they can donate and this coming up, if that's okay, if I can get the nod from Harry. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good luck, Wesley. Thank you.
Thank you for coming today. Our next announcement on today's agenda is regarding National Public Works Week. This is the week between May 22nd to May 25th. Mike Donnelly, Manager, Construction, Capital Works, Public Works and Engineering, and the Chair of the National Public Works Week is here today for this announcement. Councillor Willems, I know you're the council sponsor. Did you want to speak now afterwards? Okay. Good morning and welcome. I see you have your team here.
We come in numbers, yes.
Yes, you do.
Well, good morning, Mayor Jeffrey and councilors. I'm Mike Donnelly, Manager of Construction here at the city. But I'm here today in a different role, first time Chair of the city's National Public Works Week Committee. As you know, this is an annual celebration of our Public Works team and the great work we do to keep Brampton moving. Our celebrations have been recognized many times by both Ontario and Canadian Public Works associations. Both groups have commented on the effort we put in to reaching out to the students in our community. An important part of that outreach is our annual poster contest. Each year, we ask local students in grades 1 through 3 to draw pictures of what Public Works means to them. I'm pleased that we have this year's winner with us here today. Sanujan Abrunathan is a grade 2 student from Castle Oaks Public School. His winning artwork is featured on this year's t-shirt, which you see in front of you. It's also used on various promotional pieces, and you'll see it wrapped around one of our trucks next week. We're proud of the work done by our team, and this week lets us have some fun as we share that work with our colleagues and residents. The celebration kicks off 9 a.m. this coming Tuesday, May 22nd, with the official flag raising at City Hall. Of course, the highlight for staff is always the bus pull challenge on Wellington Street starting at 10 a.m. on Thursday. It's open to all staff and councillors, so we hope to see all of you there. We've given each of you a copy of the event schedule so you can see what else is happening next week. The schedule is also available on the city's website at brampton.ca/npww. Thank you for your support of this celebration and having us here today. We'll see you at the flag raising on Tuesday.
Thank you, Mike. Councillor Willems?
Yeah, thank you, Mike, and you got big shoes to fill following last year's chair, but thank you very much for all your work from all your department. And thank you, Joe, for the staff. There was the ice storm and then a windstorm just recently showed that we're on top of things in Brampton here, so congratulations, and congratulations to you, young fella. It's a beautiful poster you drew there, and we're going to wear these shirts. Thank you very much for coming out. Thanks, guys.
So do you want to take a picture with
Yeah,
council?
we would love, please.
Okay. So where do we just come to you? Okay. Council, you want to come and join our young contest winner?
Sorry. I gotta go to the chair. You guys are way too important. That's just so funny. I gotta take a picture. Good, if I win again.
So I know all the public works people are happy, but maybe you could be happy somewhere else. Quieter. We've got to get on with the rest of the meeting. Our next announcement on today's agenda is regarding Jambana One World Festival, August 5th and 6th. I know Denise Jones is here. She's here from the Festival Planning Committee, the Kambaya Cultural Association. Councillor Bowman, I believe you're the council sponsor. You'll speak afterwards. Welcome. Good morning, Denise.
Good morning, Mayor and councillors. I'm delighted to be here to make this presentation about Jambana One World Festival, which I know you all know about because we sent you this fantastic 33-slide presentation, which I know you consumed diligently because you are now well aware of this Fun for the Family Festival celebrating its 10th anniversary, August 5th and 6th, and returning to the city in which it was conceived. Jambana One World Festival, a festival that promotes African Canadian culture. It's the second largest festival of its kind in Canada, actually, and it is second only to the other Bana that happens downtown Toronto on that weekend. It is a tourist magnet because we offer we're rated F, Fun for the Family. We offer more of a family focus for this festival, and we are created in the village concept. So we have a children's village, we have a health village. This year we're focusing on mental health. Mental health and music has, an affiliation that's not actually always accredited, but more than 30% of Canada's population has mental health challenges. So we want to make people rock and feel all right as they're hearing about the elements that are available to them to support and sustain their health. Jambana is one of Festival in Ontario's top 100 festivals for the 4th consecutive year. We were also nominated, beside that little thing called the Pan Am Games that happened here, right, as one of Canada's top 100 festivals. We're music and more. This year, on the 5th and 6th, we're at the Rose Theatre, and we're at the can I still say Powerade Center? You know it's a CAA center now. Our performers include Grammy nominees, Grammy winners, and our own Exco Levi, whose star is on the Walk of Fame out there, and he's won 5 Junos. Jambana.com is our website. It's open and accessible to all, and I feel I want to turn around here to make sure you're paying attention to what we're saying too. And this is a tourism magnet. This is a new business development initiative that is coming to the city of Brampton. We know, Council, that you support events and activities of this nature, and we know that we are going to have continuing conversations about how you can work with us to enhance this festival that is going to be, can I say, a rose in the lapel of the city of Brampton? Thank you very much.
You can say anything you want. You had their attention at Conceive, I think.
Okay.
I think certainly we're glad to have you here, and Councillor Bowman, you are the council sponsor.
Thanks very much, Denise. When you called me and asked me if I'd sponsor, I believe there was no hesitation. This is, sorry. This is there we go. This is a wonderful festival. I will be in attendance, and I believe Mr. Levi just played at the Rose Theatre not too long ago.
And he's back next Wednesday for the opening.
Back, so lots of opportunities to see him perform, and as you mentioned, he does have a star on our Walk of Fame from 2 years ago. So I encourage everybody, it's the August long weekend, so hopefully everybody can get out and enjoy some fun and music. Thank you very much for bringing this, and if I could also echo Councillor Palecci's statement, if we can put this up on our city website to make lots more people aware, that would be a big help. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next announcement on today's agenda is regarding the results of the Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Peel, Tim Hortons Bowl for Kids' Sake. Lori Platty is here, Public Relations Manager, and Al Arkart, Development and Events Coordinator, Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Peel. Councillor Bertini, you are the council sponsor for this event, and you'll speak afterwards. Welcome, Lori.
Thank you, Mayor Jeffrey and members of council. We appreciate the opportunity of being here this morning. On behalf of all of us at Big Brothers Big Sisters of Peel, we'd like to congratulate the city of Brampton on winning the City Challenge at our Tim Hortons Bowl for Kids' Sake for the 10th year in a row, which is quite an achievement. We thank you for an incredible over $22,000 being raised this year, which makes such a tremendous difference to us being able to provide our quality mentoring programs to the youth in Peel region. We're proud to now be one of the largest Big Brother Big Sister agencies in Canada, providing service to 1,880 children and youth last year. So thank you for being a really important part of making that happen for us. A special thank you to Councillor Fortini, who we would like to announce is our highest fundraiser again of all of our bowling events. And I'd like to thank him for all of his hard work, along with Ingrid, in filling up 11 of the 16 lanes that we had at Brampton Bowling Centre back in February. More than anything, I'd really like to thank all of you, Mayor Jeffrey, and all the council members for your enthusiasm, your genuine interest in believing in Big Brothers Big Sisters, and continuing year after year to support our agency. It's very evident how, with you coming out each year and always being there for us, whether it's for bowling or any other reasons, we really know we can count on your support, and it's very much appreciated. We hope to see you out at our 2019 bowling event. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Lori. Are you going to present?
Yes,
Councillor
we would
Bertini, did
love
you want to
to
speak first?
present.
Okay. You get to speak, and then you get to get the picture. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Laurie. It was really fun that night, and I'd like to thank all the councillors who donated and other people, developers and all that. It's very hard, but the challenge in this is always, other municipalities are also doing charity work, and it's always hard knocking on their doors to get funds. So I really got to give my hat out to Ingrid, my assistant, who did an amazing job. And I'd like to thank also the city staff that really came out and supported it, and the mayor and everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have our big trophies here to present. If we could maybe do a photo, if that works. I know you just got up to do a photo.
Oh, you want it all of council?
Whatever you prefer.
Okay, okay, fine. We'll just do the two of us then?
Okay.
Yes, you did. Lovely. So you still on for Friday? Aren't you? No, did you already testify? How'd it go? Good. Is there a publication ban? Because, oh, okay.
I'm not allowed to talk about
Oh, okay. Yeah, because nobody's heard anything about this. Good. That's all.
Our next delegation is Mr. Jack Jones, President and Chairman of the Foundation for Prader-Willi Research Canada. Could you come forward? Welcome.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council. My name is Jack Jones, and I'm honored to be here today and have a chance to talk about my story and our annual walkathon. My third child, Brooke, was born in August of 2011. She seemed healthy at first when she was born, but we quickly realized that there was something wrong. She was floppy, she didn't cry, she didn't move much, and she couldn't feed. We lived in the neonatal ICU for 3 weeks before she was able to eat without a tube, and we were sent home. It was another agonizing 5 months until we got a call from our geneticist with a diagnosis. Brooke has a rare and devastating genetic disorder called Prader-Willi syndrome, or PWS for short. It randomly affects about 1 in 15,000 births worldwide, without regard for gender, ethnicity, location. A small set of genes on chromosome 15 get turned off, and a large set of symptoms are created. There's low muscle tone, slow metabolism, cognitive delays and severe behaviors, weak bones, acute scoliosis, disturbed sleep patterns, body temperature regulation, even things like mental health issues and excess tooth decay. But the symptom that PWS is known for and the hardest to deal with is the hunger. People with Prader-Willi cannot feel satiated from eating food and have the constant gnawing feeling that they're starving to death. The hunger can drive them to literally eat themselves to death, either quickly with burst stomachs, or when combined with the low muscle tone and reduced metabolism via severe obesity with all its complications. There's currently no cure for PWS, and except for nightly growth hormone injections for improving muscle tone, there's no treatment for most of its symptoms. There is, however, an organization that's working on it. The Foundation for Prader-Willi Research, or FPWR, has a mission to eliminate the challenges of PWS through the advancement of research. Since 2003, the charity has raised over $8 million to fund grants for PWS research, and the progress has been extraordinary. There have been genetic mouse models created, a network of scientists and clinicians developed that collaborate on projects, and many papers published in top medical and scientific journals. As of now, There are even drugs in clinical trials that could do things like control the hunger or help with behaviors. It's very promising and leaves us full of hope, but the organization needs funding. My wife, Belinda, and I got involved with FPWR Canada by hosting our first fundraiser walkathon in 2012. Our involvement has grown each year since, and we've now raised over $250,000 for PWS research. Beyond our walkathon, Belinda has helped with things like charity galas and international research conferences. I joined the board of directors in 2016, and as of last summer, I took on the role of president and chair of the board. On Sunday, May 27th, we'll hold our 7th annual fundraiser walkathon at Chinguacousy Park called One Small Step. It's now FPWR Canada's flagship fundraising event out of their 19 walks and one of the biggest in the world out of 90 walks worldwide. Sorry. It ends up being a fun day at the park for everybody. We have demonstrations from local groups, lunch and t-shirts for attendees, even an airbrush tattoo artist for the kids. In the past, we've had Councillors Bowman and Willens and Medeiros, Fortini attend. If you can make it, I'd like to invite you to join us, Madam Mayor, as well as the council members and anybody else that is available. Attending is great, but spreading the word and or fundraising has even more of an impact for us. And for the future of the organization, we're looking at even bigger initiatives, such as extending our board, finding high-profile donors, and partnering with a national sponsor. We've had Scotiabank in the past, and now we're actually looking at Loblaws. For initiatives like this, we'll appreciate any advice and relationships with which the city can assist. When my wife and I got the call from the geneticist, we cried, and we did research, and we felt hopeless. But then she said something that I'll never forget. She said that we will not let this disorder define our daughter. From this day on, we will keep moving forward, no matter what. And keep moving forward has become our family motto. Awareness is the single biggest thing we can do to help defeat this disorder. So I thank you very much for allowing us to spread awareness today, and so that we can keep moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you for the invitation. It looks like I have a little space in my schedule, so I think I might be able to drop in. Councillor Gibson, you were the sponsor. Did you want to say anything? I don't, but Councillor Willens. Okay. Councillor Willens.
Thank you, Jack, for coming in today. I know it's a great event, and I just want to acknowledge the courage that you and your family have gone through over this number of years. We've both, Councillor Bowman and Fortini and I have joined the event, the walk, and it's incredible to see the courage from all the people there, and you're doing a great job. So whatever we can do to help, you know, we're always there. So, but thanks again for coming in.
Very much appreciated. And it's a great day to join the Dog Guides walk, too. You come in the morning for that, come in the afternoon for us. It's perfect at Chinguacousy Park. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Our next item on our agenda is we're going to move up 8.2 on the request of Councillor Moore. This item is a staff report regarding the downtown BIA annual summer, sorry?
It's 10.2, it's the minutes from the Committee of Council
Oh,
on
it's
Downtown
10.2.
Reimagined.
Oh, sorry, okay.
It's page 10.2. Members of council, it's 10.2, which are the minutes from Committee of Council from last week, specifically recommendation CW 163-2018, and it's page 10.2-10 on your Committee of Council minutes in your agenda.
Okay. Councillor Moore.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to move the recommendation and ask for a recorded vote again today. Thank you.
Councillor Miles, did you want to say something?
I was just going to ask for a recorded vote.
Okay. So a recorded vote is...
Recorded vote's been requested. All in favor of recommendation CW 163-2018, please stand to be counted. Showing in favor is Councillor Miles, Councillor Fortini, Councillor Bowman, Councillor Medeiros, Mayor Jeffrey, Councillor Dillon, Councillor Sprovieri, Councillor Paletti, Councillor Willens, Councillor Moore, and Councillor Gibson. Madam Mayor, that motion carries unanimously 11-0.
Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Clerk, I'm confused about what paperwork I have just, what, is this the 10.2?
This is item 10.2, so when we get to 10.2 in the normal course of business...
That particular motion will be...
We'll just deal with it.
I'll let you deal with that then, when we get there, okay. Okay. Getting back to our agenda, we're at 6.1. Okay, this is the possible delegations from the public regarding an amendment to Procedure Bylaw 16204 as amended to include a separate public question period after each business section of the Committee of Council meeting agenda. Does anybody here today wish to come forward and speak on this matter? Seeing none, I have a motion moved by Councillor Willen, seconded by Councillor Bowman, that the amendment be received. All those in favor? That's carried. Not yet, you do the bylaws at the end. Just the motion. That's my next item. It's actually in my agenda to do next. Let me follow the order or I'll miss something. There's a lot of paper up here. So council with the authority for this bylaw was approved at the May 2nd council meeting. The bylaw is listed on today's agenda as 77-2018 and will be considered later in the meeting when we consider and adopt the bylaw. So item 8.1 in our agenda was considered as part of the staff presentation. Our next item of business is 8.2. This is a staff report regarding the Downtown BIA Annual Summer Event Support Request. Council, there is a motion which will, I believe, be on the screen, which is correct. There is a typo, I believe, in the report. So what you're approving is what is actually on the screen. Is it still wrong? Still not right.
Through you, Madam Mayor, just, there was a typo in the report, so what's on the screen is the actual printed report. Recommendation 2 says $28,839.07. The actual correct number is 15,000, and I don't have the full number, it's in the motion, and that's actually referenced in the body of the report, so it was just a typo in the recommendation. So it should be $15,243.94. So the motion that committee will be, or council will be considering will be as printed in the staff report, with the exception of the 25,000 being substituted for the 15,000.
Yeah, it's 15,243.94. Okay. And it's moved by Councillor Fortini, seconded by Councillor Bowman. Any questions, comments? All those in favor? That's carried. Our next item is 8.3, regarding an application to amend the zoning bylaw and drafts plan of subdivision Kendevcon Limited, 247-8474, Ontario, Inc., west side of Chinguacousy Road and north of Batavia Downs Drive in Ward 6. Do any members of council have questions or comments on the staff report? Councillor Willens has moved it, seconded by Councillor Fortini. All those in favor? That's carried. We're now at item 10. These are committee reports or minutes. We have 3 committee reports on today's agenda under council's meeting procedures. The committee or section chair introduces their committee report or minutes and summarizes the matters considered that are now being brought forward to council today for ratification. Councillor Gibson, you chaired the Member Services Committee meeting, which met on May 7th. The committee minutes are here for council approval. I now pass the chair to you to lead council in consideration of those committee minutes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I couldn't hear half of what you said because the door was open there, but I'm assuming you're pushing it over to me.
You have the floor for Member Services Committee.
Okay, thank you very much. Council, you have the minutes of the Member Services Committee of May 7th in front of you. Are there any questions or comments on those minutes? Seeing none, Madam Mayor, I'll pass them back to you for ratification.
They're moved by Councillor Gibson, seconded by Councillor Fortini, that the minutes be received and the recommendations be received, be approved as outlined in the subject minutes. All those in favor? That's carried. Committee of Council met on May 9th. Committee minutes are here for approval. I will now pass the chair to the respective section chairs in order of consideration during the committee meeting to lead council in consideration of the committee recommendations. Councillor Willens, you chaired Public Works and Engineering section.
Madam Mayor, through you, we had 2 items. We had we dealt with 6.2.5 now, Downtown Reimagine. We've already brought that forward. The other 6.2.1 was in consent, but we had a healthy report on 6.2.4 with the proposal to build a memorial wall adjacent to the cenotaph. There was a good discussion, and if no members have any questions, I'll pass it back to you.
Thank you. Councillor Pelesci, you chaired Community Services section.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We had two items in community services. Both were declarations of surplus property. There were no members of the public that came to spoke on the items. Are there any questions from council? Seeing none, Madam Mayor, pass it back to you for ratification.
Thank you. Councillor Bowman, you chaired Economic Development and Culture section. Pass the chair to you.
Very much through you, Madam Mayor. We didn't have anything as such within the economic development agenda. However, we did have an announcement from Brendan Healy about the upcoming artistic performances at the Rose Theatre, where he presented the new guide as well. Great-looking guide, great-looking lineup, and I was happy to see it. So, any questions? Seeing none, I pass it back to you, Madam Mayor, for ratification.
Thank you. Councillor Miles, you chaired Corporate Services section. I pass the floor to you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Under Corporate Services, we did have a excellent staff presentation by Christine Braun on our DNA, fostering a culture of high performance and service excellence. This report was well received by members of council. There was great discussion to be had, and at the end of the day, the report was received and our existing corporate values policy was rescinded. We also had a presentation by Mr. Kralt regarding workplace workplace modernization strategy and building employee engagement through workplace design. Again, a very comprehensive report about looking at the way we design our workspace for employees, looking towards a much more fluid environment to meet the needs of the future of the City of Brampton. And then we did have our annual treasurer's statement and summary of financial activity in 2007. And we had a building code annual report for the fiscal year 2017. With that, Madam Mayor, back to you.
Thank you. I have a motion moved by Councillor Bowman, seconded by Councillor Willens, that the minutes of the Committee of Council meeting of May 9th to the Council meeting of May 16th be received. The recommendations excluding the 163-2018 be approved as outlined in the subject minutes. All those in favor? That's carried. Councillor Moore, you chaired Planning and Development Committee, which met on May 14th. The committee minutes are here for council approval. I now pass the chair to you to lead council in consideration of the committee minutes.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. We had one statutory public meeting report on 1403 Queen Street West with a number of delegations speaking to that meeting application. We added two items to the agenda. One was a discussion at the request of Councillor Pelesci on the Royal Cliff development at 100 Conestoga, and the second was a discussion at the request of Councillor Gibson on a building and facade improvement program grant that had been allocated to a property on Main Street North. Further to that, we had recommendation reports on facade improvement grants for 127 Queen Street West and 53 George Street. We had 4 property reports for OPA amendments, 174, 178, 180, and 184 Queen Street East, and we received the Cycling Advisory Committee minutes. Are there any questions? Councillor Pelesci.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to pull out and revote on PDC 060-2018. It was a tie vote, and there's 3 additional members here, actually. So I'd like to pull that out and ask for a recorded revote on that.
Are you asking for the vote exactly as it's printed in the agenda?
Yeah.
Okay. Councillor Gibson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to be clear, because there seemed to be on Monday night some misunderstanding of what, at least in my mind, what best efforts meant. Sorry, there's a commissioner back there. And in my mind, what best efforts means is what I think staff do all the time, and that is once they get their reports in, once they have everything they need to bring forward a final report to committee and council, that they would do that once everything's in. I do not want to support something that is telling staff that we're going to put extra resources on this file, because I and Councillor Moore have a file that we spoke with the commissioner and developers and that, and had a meeting with a lot of staff around the table the other day, that we need resources to too, but I'm not asking for extra resources for that one. All I'm saying is, because there seemed to be some misunderstanding about what best efforts meant, I want to be clear. I'm going to support the best efforts because I think that's what staff do anyway. But I do not want staff to take that as throwing extra resources at one particular file. I hope the commissioner is clear on that. That's what I'm supporting. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Sprovieri.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I wasn't here at plannings, and I read the report, and first I'd like to ask a few questions. This particular application has been ongoing for quite a long time, and I sometimes, and I don't know whether the councillor Palashi has been discussing this with staff and the applicant as to what the issues are that's holding up this application, whether there's problems with the submission, whether there's reports that have not been provided by the developer. I've been hearing quite a bit that things are not moving as quickly as some people like to see these applications. Certainly, this application has been around a long, long time, and I'd like to ask through you, Madam Chair, through staff, why exactly what is the problem with this application? Is there outstanding issues that haven't been resolved? And so, because I do know that sometimes that happens, where there's comments back and forth between staff and the developer, the consultants, and the information is not being provided, or the developers are not willing to make changes that staff would like to see. There's a number of reasons why things just keep dragging on for long periods of time. And I'd just like to ask staff, what's going on with this application? Just give us, I'd like to have a clear understanding as to what's the holdup, why it's taking so long, and is there a planner on the job that's working on it? And so before I give my decide how to vote on this, I'd like to get some background information as to exactly, and I don't know whether staff has that information here with them today, but certainly I think we should have an indication of what is the problem. Is it a staff resource that we don't have enough planners to finalize these plans? Or is it the developer who are not cooperating and meeting the requirements of the planning department? So can I get an indication as to exactly what is the problem with this particular application?
Sure, thank you. Mr. Commissioner, can I ask you to come to the podium, because it's kind of hard, a little awkward for those of us who are not sitting at the front to keep an eye on everybody who wants to speak.
By all means, and thank you through the chair. As council is fully aware, there's a long history on this site. It's taken many years to get to where we are today. And as council might recall, over the last couple of months, a number of studies had to be updated and revised. I think there's 11 in total. Much of that information is just with us now over the last couple of weeks. There was some differences of opinion on things like road widths and some other foundational issues that needed to be resolved, and the planner's just receiving much of that information now. Another key element with this application, as is the case with many, is something called a record of site condition. So this has now just been submitted with the ministry, so the ministry has to accept that. So as much as we would love to commit to certain dates on certain applications, a lot of things are out of control of planning staff. That has to happen. So we've committed, we know that we are tracking for a late June report on the official plan amendment. The rezoning, there's some issues. Just because reports are with us doesn't mean that we necessarily fully agree with them all as yet. In terms of resourcing, as I'm sure you can appreciate, there's a number of things happening right now with changes to the OMB and whatnot. The particular file or planner that's been assigned to this file has 3 OMB hearings between now and the end of the month as well, at the end of June rather. So balancing all that is always challenging. And to Councillor Gibson's point, we always make our best efforts to bring things forward. It's not our intention to ever slow things down. We have no reason to do that. But it is a balancing act on an ongoing basis. So I would interpret best efforts to mean exactly that, doing what we do on a regular basis to bring things forward as best we can.
Okay.
And if it's council's direction to add additional resources, certainly that's up to your discretion.
Well, thank you for that information. Now, I'm aware that the building department does have a program where they will sometimes cover the cost for overtime, so employees can work overtime weekends to get plans processed, and the developer pays. And perhaps this could be, if the developer is really anxious to get going on this one, maybe we should look at expanding this program to the planning department, where if a planner is really anxious and willing to pay the expense, we'll give our staff an opportunity to work some overtime on a Saturday or later in the evenings, so these plans can be moved quicker. Is that available in the planning, or is that just in the building department that's available, that option?
Through the chair, we do have staff currently working additional hours because of the demands on the department at this current time. We've got an extremely high volume of applications, so there is that capacity. I think with this particular planner on this file, given the owner's work ahead of them with the OMB hearings that are coming up, I think the solution would have to be to allocate somebody from another file onto this one. I don't think adding more hours to this particular planner would be helpful.
Well, I think that since now my understanding is that, maybe I'm outdated perhaps, but I thought that it was a particular planner that dealt with OMB files, but obviously if an application has been appealed, obviously that planner has to attend the OMB. So given that this planner has a lot on his hands, can we look at the possibility of giving him some assistance and on the overtime basis, and ask the developer to cover those expenses?
Through the chair, I can explore options to find additional resources. Again, we've got a number of key projects that other planners are working on. Our university, we met with developers the other day. There's a number of high-rises happening downtown. So we would have to make a judgment call on how to find those resources, and whether it's a different planner working overtime. I could take direction on that and find a solution. But again, I want to be very clear with council that even if we're striving to achieve a certain date, things happen outside of the control of the planner that might alter that date. So it would be very difficult to commit to a particular date.
Yeah, and the motion that has been introduced, what would happen? What would have to happen in order to, if the council decided, voted to direct you to put more resources on this particular file? What would be the consequence of that?
Through the chair.
Councillor Scovieri, just for your reference, it is on page 10.3-9 in the printed agenda, but that's the motion there.
Okay, that's fine, thank you. Thank you.
So if you still remember the question.
I do, through the chair. If it was council's direction that this is a strategic priority for us to put additional resources on, I would take that back and look at the capacity and how to prioritize other initiatives, and then reassign a new planner to this file and take them off something else. Again, though, I want to be very clear, committing to a date is somewhat out of our control because we rely on other people. What we would have to do is manage this more like a project management approach to make sure that, that others are on top of their work as well.
Okay. Councilor Medeiros?
Thank you through the chair. Thank you, Commissioner. And you talked about best efforts. The fact that it's in a motion, I find it's almost redundant to say if we're giving best efforts to every application. What I find too is if a motion was like this to pass, and it's not a reflection on the two councillors, I commend them for representing their areas and doing what's best for their wards. But what essentially that does is that attacks and undermines the integrity of our planning process. Because essentially becomes, when we're trying to tell developers that there's a process and you have to follow it, this is a type of motion that all of us then get approached by every developer in our wards who have the urgency to fill an application. And that certainly puts us in more of a political process, and I think Councillor Moore, as the chair, said it right, where staff do their best, they work through a planning process, which we have, we're building the integrity of it, we've built it up, and something like this, and I've heard comments such as, this has been a long application, people are waiting. Well, it doesn't make it merits, it doesn't justify for us to ram something through that if it's not right for the municipality, if it's not right for public safety perspective, if there's certain processes that we have to follow that are under our control. I'm sure this is a very credible builder who's going to put a good product, but we do have a planning process. And I think this is more than just this process. If there was a strategic necessary support that this council had to provide that had citywide implications, I would understand the urgency. But I can't sit here and support something like this when I got issues in my area in Wards 3 and 4, good applications. They keep asking me what's happening there, and you've been very accommodating, giving us updates on what is expected or not. So I just think this sets a really bad precedent if we do these type of decisions. And this is kind of the frustrations of when we on one hand talk about a big planning vision, and then after we get involved and start knick-knacking and undermining our planning process. So I think it's bigger than just this simple decision of this motion. It sends to everyone out there who wants to build in Brampton that, if you want to get things through, maybe go speak to the councillor, see if they can put on similar motion which was passed on today's date. So that's why I'm very concerned about this, and it's not a reflection on any councillor, but I just think that this undermines our integrity of our process. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Medeiros. Councillor Dillon?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The way the recommendation itself is worded, I don't have an issue with it. But the way staff has interpreted it, I don't think they necessarily match. So when it says best efforts, to me it's more like a nudge, but as staff interprets it, they're going to have to allocate more resources, which is why during committee I had recommended, and perhaps clerk, I just saw it, if you could scroll down to it, that for the purposes of whoever's reading the motion or the recommendation to have a better understanding of what exactly it entails, that we include in quotation, including reallocation of additional resources as appropriate, along with best efforts, so that whoever's reading it understands exactly what's going to happen. And I think whoever's going to vote on it would be a little bit more comfortable with that. And so with that, I ask staff, Rob, so just yes or no, do you feel comfortable with the motion as it is? Can't see you. There you go.
If I can, Councillor Dillon, I'm not sure that staff are in a position to respond or offer their comments with regard to the appropriateness of it. If there is some difficulty posed by the motion, then I think, if that's what you're asking, if there's some difficulty posed by the motion, then you would be asking the commissioner to identify what those issues might be. Could you turn Councillor Dillon's microphone on, please? Thank you.
Well, when I say, and I appreciate that, when I ask if they're comfortable, what I'm asking is, do you feel that you can complete the task in the necessary time frame that's given in the recommendation? Comfortably.
Through the chair, maybe I can respond with another question in that I interpret best efforts, meaning, as Councillor Gibson has clearly pointed out, we'll make all of our reasonable efforts to move things along. And again, we have no reason to slow them down. We're anxious to move things along the process. A lot of work is with us on this particular file that we're happy to move along. Should Council ask this to become a priority, in that case, then what I would do is find additional resources that I can remove from other files to supplement the planner who's currently working on this one. But again, I want to make it abundantly clear, though, committing to a particular date, regardless of how many resources I have, is no guarantee that that will be met, because things are not all resting with staff.
So,
Councillor Dillon,
Yep.
Mr. Schlang would like to respond as well.
Yeah, I think I'd just like to compliment the planning commissioner is, look, when council puts a motion together like this, you are making it a priority. I don't care what you call it, best efforts, or you are making it a priority. We've got over 320 files in planning right now. Everybody's making best efforts on every one of those files. But by all of council making a motion, you're making this a priority. And when we look at these planning development applications, we're looking at jobs as the top priority to triage. We've got a number of applications in on that. Alstrom, with the light rail trains, we got a number of applications. We're probably looking at about 20 to 25 of those. So the commission has already stated that if you're making this a priority, we'll take your direction. That means he has to readjust the workloads within his division. So don't call it best efforts are on all 300 files. So, but by council passing a motion like this, you're directing us to move on this one.
So I'll take it. I'll take the recommendation as what my amendment, original amendment, had meant. So including. So it's assumed that you're going to be including reallocating of additional resources as appropriate, and that this will be a priority, just based upon the words that Councillor Schlang, CAO Schlang has indicated. Thank you.
You tried to give a demotion there.
Yeah.
Councillor Miles.
Thank you. Are we at full complement in planning?
Through the chair, on our development review team, other than a few leaves of absences and things like that, we're generally up to what our complement has been approved to.
How long have we been up to snuff, up to complement?
Through the chair, it's an evolving process, but I think right now, as of the last couple of months, 2 months or so, we've now got the full management complement on board, which is 3 managers. And again, there's a small number, 1 or 2, that are off on certain leaves and things like that, which we're trying to resolve from a resource matter. But that's the complement that has been allocated to planning for the development team.
Okay. I did meet with Andrew Farr, a new manager. I was very impressed.
Fantastic. I'll pass that along. So are we.
Good. That's good. So for me, this is a really difficult one. Is my mic working?
Yep.
Yeah, it is. This particular application has been with the city for 12 years? 25 years? Okay, so this application has been with the city for a very long time. And since Councillor Peleche and Councillor Willens were elected in 2014, they have been working with the the proponents and planning to try and bring this application forward. So, and they have a huge amount of residents in the community who want this put to rest. So in considering their request, this isn't just the developer wanting to move it forward. They have a whole community who have invested so much of their own time and in attending meetings, and they just want to know that this application is approved by council so that they don't have to worry about it anymore. So huge pressure on them from their constituents. So I totally understand. It's been 4 years since since we started again on a new process, and now we're coming to a point where after June, we may only have one council meeting in order to finish up the business of the day. So we only have one in September. If there are any applications that this council are going to conclude in its term, it's kind of now or never. So I absolutely think that this is one application that council should give priority to. It's not the norm. It's not the norm where we have
Sorry, Councillor Miles.
Obviously, there's an issue over here, so maybe they can speak up.
Sorry, maybe if I could, through the chair. We're anticipating a meeting over the summer and a September meeting as well that would go ahead, which would give us another opportunity to bring additional reports forward. We're not seeing planning as being shut down through the election, so I think that we have several opportunities in the coming months ahead of us to bring additional reports forward.
My understanding was September was the end. We're going to be having meetings in October as well?
Councillor Miles, there's a meeting on, and I'll ask the clerk to confirm, there were 2 meeting dates that are being held, one in July and one in August, plus September.
Through you, Madam Chair, you're correct. There is a council meeting July 11th, which could deal with planning business. There's a council meeting August 8th, which could deal with planning business. There is also in September, right now, a scheduled 7 p.m. Planning Committee meeting on September 10th and a 1 p.m. Planning Committee meeting on September 17th in the approved schedule.
Okay. Okay, it wasn't my I thought council meetings in the summer were called if needed. I didn't realize that we were actually going to be meeting. That's what normally happens.
Yeah, you are correct, they are placeholders. And we'll find out, through the mayor and I guess in consultation with staff, if there's a number of items that need to be dealt with. I'm assuming that the mayor will call a special meeting in July and in August if necessary to keep the business of the city moving forward. And given the circumstances this year with an election year, that's probably more likely than not, but I'm just guessing.
So, again,
sorry,
Through
Peter
you,
wants to
Madam
speak.
Chair, I just wish to clarify as well that sometimes people may get confused with the term lame duck in terms of the election. This has nothing to do with that. So lame duck provisions do not apply in terms of planning matters under the Municipal Act. So as long as a meeting is scheduled, this council is duly authorized and organized until November 30th to have meetings as necessary for planning matters or other matters for which they have to make decisions.
thank you very much for that information. Thank you very much for interrupting my train of thought on this particular issue. So we do have 2 placeholders in the summer. But I think what Councillor Palesch and Councillor Willens are trying to do is resolve this issue during this term of council. So how do we, as members of council, assist them with that? Because as I said, this is, I have a lot of developers asking me too, that they want their applications dealt with during this term of council. but this is a little bit different in that there is a huge amount of residents in the community who are waiting and watching, and we've seen them at the planning meetings when this comes forward. I mean, in 2016, Council approved in principle the official plan amendment. The following year, another application. So this isn't pushing or rushing anything through. And I think the other thing members of council need to keep in mind is that we have gone through a sort of extraordinary set of circumstances in the last 4 years. Not only did we change commissioners, we had a lot of staff changes, and we embarked on this visioning session with Larry Beasley, which also took a lot of staff time and resources. So if we have 320 applications, maybe you should be asking us for an approval to hire more staff, because there is a lot of dissension in the development community right now, feeling that the city of Brampton is basically not processing their applications in a timely way. So, but having set that aside, I am willing to ask our planning commissioner to make this particular application a priority based on the circumstances. And when I say a priority, if the target is that we can resolve this during this term of council, I think that's what's being looked for. Because if it isn't, then it's going to be another 6 or 8 months probably before a new council can resolve these issues. So I'm asking the other members of council to consider the circumstances of this particular application, and also the fact, and maybe you don't care, but I do, that Michael's father worked very, very hard on this application. It was one that he was pushing forward in his last term of council. Michael has taken up the challenge. There's no guarantees that Michael is going to get reelected, and I totally accept the fact that he would like to see this resolved in his term of council. So I ask others to consider all of the circumstances and support Michael and Councillor Willens and all of their residents on this particular application. Get it finished. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Miles. Councillor Sprovieri, followed by Councillor Dillon, and then Councillor Gibson.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Rob, I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you know if this is the oldest file that we have, or one of the oldest files on record?
Through the chair, that I actually really couldn't answer. In the 1 year I've been here, I haven't looked at the history behind all the files. It's probably up there, in all honesty, but one must remember the iterations this has been through. It's not one application that's dragged on for a number of years. But if I could also provide some clarity, given that we know that there's additional meetings between now and November, I would find it highly unlikely that this wouldn't be resolved prior to the fall. I think that finding a guarantee to a particular meeting in June or July is a challenge for us, but knowing that a subsequent meeting after that is probably a very realistic landing point for this, regardless of direction from council anyways. So I just wanted to assure council that that's how we see this unfolding, given its natural course anyways.
Yeah. Well, we realize, I think we all know that there's been a lot of turmoil in the planning department in the last couple of years, and a lot of people have come and gone, and that's probably caused a lot of the destabilization of the department. Just this movement of people, new people taking over files. They have to get their heads around it, and I understand all that. And I also realize that, as Councillor Fortini has mentioned a number of times, that for the last year or two, we've only had 2 or 3 applications in our planning department, planning meetings, and sometimes with 10 minutes we were out and about. The meetings were very short, and And so we know that there was a very period of time with little productivity in the department. And so, I really have a problem because I know that Area 47 is really a crucial file to be done, and they're asking, especially with the employment lands that we have on the east side of Brampton, and I want to really get that done before the end of this term so that that area can open up for business. And that's it's a very important piece of employment lands that we have. And so I don't want to do anything that's going to jeopardize. But in this particular case, I really feel for the people. I know it's been a very controversial file. It's changed several times because of different reasons. And so we have an opportunity now that to approve something that the people want or are accepting. And I think we should do whatever we can to get it going before they may decide to do something else, developers. They may decide that, maybe the market is changing and they want to bring some other concept and start all over again. So I really feel that this one has to be given some priority because it is one of the oldest files. It probably is going back 20, 25 years. It's probably the oldest one there. So if you can assure us, I don't believe that approving this motion will, since you're confident that it's going to get done anyway by August or September. It shouldn't really put you in a bad spot approving this motion here. I think that this is just a bit of a safety net for to know that council does believe that there's a priority on this application.
So if I may respond through the chair, by all means, my level of comfort is sometimes over the summer or September that we could bring finality to this one. In terms of an observation about what's before planning committee lately, I want to assure council that we have a highly productive planning staff. A lot of what is being done right now doesn't come before planning committee. When you look at the number of site plans, we've got 190 active site plans. That's not before committee. Another series of applications, depending on where they are at in their life cycle, as we're going through registration, clearance of conditions, that takes an awful lot of work effort, and things come in cycles. And because of where things are at in their life cycle, it hasn't involved a lot of activity before planning committee. And the other thing with the changing legislation under Bill 139 and us no longer allowing or permitting approvals in principle, a lot more work has to be done until we have a recommendation report that's much more final. So what you'll see is that's kind of snowplowed a number of applications through the time cycle, but they'll be more complete when they're before committee. So that's a process change. I also want to assure members of council that since I've come on board, virtually from day one, we've been looking at all of our planning processes to make sure that they are streamlined, but more importantly, that they're transparent. That doesn't happen overnight. We are working with business improvement experts to make sure that we can bring that assurance. The planning process is a timely process, no matter where you are, what municipality you're in. There's a number of players that are involved, and it does take time to get through that process. So the best thing I can commit to is making sure there's a higher level of clarity so that applicants understand where they're at in that process. And I want you to be assured that we are doing just that right now.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Dillon?
No, I'm okay now. Thank you.
You're okay now? Councillor Gibson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, I was going to support the motion, but now I'm not, because after hearing some council members, I do not want to put a focus on this application at the cost of other applications. And I'm going to give you an example why. As I indicated, and I'll expand a bit more, Council Moore and I met with a lot of staff the other day, the developer, their lawyers, our lawyers, on the application at Church and Main Street, where that applicant wants things to go a lot quicker than what they're going. That application's probably been around longer than this. Some people are calling it an application. Think about this. This application really has only been here 2 years. Although it's been talked about, and a lot of different applications that come in over 25 years, So is that one on Church and Main. In fact, the original guy that brought it forward isn't even alive anymore. So, that's a priority. Council, if this passes, and it councils, from what I'm hearing people say, that do need a priority on it, then I'm coming to the next council meeting, or next planning meeting, and asking for a priority to put on the church, sorry, not church, the Main and Nelson proposal. Because that's, my opinion, just my humble opinion, because I represent the area, more important than this one to the city of Brampton, to the downtown. The workload that, and Councilor Moore and I, as chair and vice chair of planning, asked Rob, and I've been working with Rob on trying to make sure some of these planning things go quicker and smoother and that, and we've asked about the workload, and Rob touched on some of the workload, but this is just an example of some of the things that they're doing, they're trying to get through right now, as Rob tries to change the processes and get things going, and I believe there's going to be some more reports coming forward in the future to us at council. At least he's indicated to us as chair and vice chair that will be. There's 47 zoning amendments going on, 20 official plan amendments going on, 4 subdivisions being worked on, 23 condominiums, 190 site plans, 41 pre-consultations, how long those take, and 35, I don't even know what that is. OMB. Oh, OMB things going on. Councillor Miles may be right, and maybe in the next budget, you may think that you may have to think about giving more resources towards this department. I don't know. We'll look for your staff to give us some suggestions on that, and, well, not me, because I won't be here, but the next council. I can't in good conscience, go along with something that's going to give a priority to one application right now, because I think the staff are doing their best to try to get through these. The key to this one is they haven't got all the stuff in yet, the stuff that they're out of control. It's out of their control. And that's what Councilor Moore and I said to the applicant, or indicated to the applicant, and so did staff. Was it yesterday? It's so long. This has been a fast, I think it was yesterday's meeting. So, some of the stuff that they want expedited is out of our own staff's control. It's either in that case, a CN. We need to hear from CN on things. That staff have no control over that. We can try to get CN to move faster, but we all know that's never going to happen. But I don't like the way the conversation has gone. I was comfortable with giving best efforts, but it seems like other council members want to put priority on this, and I'm not willing to support that, because I think the staff are doing the best they can with the resources they have, and I just gave you one example, Heritage Theatre. I mean, my God, I worked on that Heritage Theatre my whole career, and we're still talking about it. And no fault of staff, don't take that as your fault. But there's all kinds of them. I could probably come up with 5 or 6 more just in my area, and I'm sure you all could do the same thing if you really thought about it. So you know what? I'm not going to support anything that's going to give any direction anymore. I'm just going to say I hope that staff just do their best efforts. I'm confident they will do their best efforts on all our applications.
Thank you very much, Councillor Gibson. Councillor Palashi.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to, I thank members of council who have spoken in favor of giving this application priority, knowing the history, but I want to make it very clear that in nowhere does this say priority. It very clearly says best efforts. It is still the exact same motion, Councillor Gibson, that you supported on Monday, regardless of what councillors have thrown in this giving priority. The commissioner was very clear in saying that, the way he takes this, it's best efforts, and they give their best efforts on every application that comes forward. So it's still the exact same motion. Nowhere in here does it say priority allocation of resources, funds. It's just the best efforts, and that gives, I think, Councillor Willens and I just a comfort level that we didn't have prior to this. So again, Councillor Gibson, it's the exact same motion that you supported on Monday. It in no way, regardless of all other members talking about priority, it doesn't say that. It continues to say best efforts. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I have no further speakers on that, unless I'm missing someone. Madam Mayor, I'll turn.
You can have a recorded vote.
Oh, there's another record. Do you call that, or do I call that? Oh, okay. Thank you. Recorded vote has been requested on the same motion that was put before committee on Monday evening.
Recorded vote on recommendation PDC 060-2018. All in favor of the motion, please stand to be counted. Showing in favor is Councillor Miles, Councillor Bowman, Councillor Sprovieri, Councillor Paleshi, Councillor Willens. All opposed to the motion, please stand to be counted. Showing opposed to the motion is Councillor Fortini, Councillor Medeiros, Mayor Jeffrey, Councillor Dillon, Chair Moore, Councillor Gibson. Madam Chair, the motion fails 5-6.
Okay, so you're passing back to me?
Now I'll
Okay.
turn the minutes back to you, or the recommendations back to you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. I have a motion moved by Councillor Morris, seconded by Councillor Gibson, that the minutes be received and the recommendations be approved as outlined in the subject minutes. All those in favor? That's carried. Our next item is 18.1. There's a report here on government relations matters.
There is nothing now.
Is there even a motion even to receive it?
No, because there's no report.
Okay, nothing on it. We're now at item 19, public question period. This is where we invite members of the public to come forward to the podium to ask questions about any decision made by council at today's meeting. There's a 15-minute limit for all questions and answers. Are there any questions from the public about a decision made today at our council meeting? Okay, seeing none. Moving on, we're now at the portion of the meeting dealing with the adoption of city bylaws. To give effect to council decisions made at this meeting and previous meetings, I actually don't have a motion. Is this the one?
Yeah.
Okay, it's a different number, okay. It's moved by Councillor Wilman, seconded by Councillor Fortini, that the bylaws be read and signed by the mayor and the city clerk and the corporate seal affixed thereto. All those in favor? That's carried. Our next item of business is item 21, closed session business. I have a motion moved by Councillor Fortini, seconded by Councillor Gibson, that council proceed into closed session to discuss matters pertaining to the following: 21.1 minutes closed session, City Council of May 2nd, 2018. 21.2 minutes closed session, Committee of Council of May 9th, 2018. 21.3 litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board, conservation review proceedings. 21.4 litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board, local planning appeal tribunal proceedings. 21.5 litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board, local planning appeal tribunal proceedings. And 21.6 acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board, surplus property disposition matter. All those in favor? That's carried. This meeting is now recessed in order for council to consider its closed session business. All meetings of council must start and end in public session. After closed session is completed, council will reconvene in public session in Alderley to complete its business on today's agenda, including reporting out on any actions arising from its closed session portion of the meeting, passing a confirming bylaw to confirm the proceedings and decisions from this meeting, and adjourning the meeting. So, council, we are recessed. We will be meeting in camera just around the corner. 10 minutes? 10 minutes. You ready to go? Okay, we're back. In the continuing interest of transparency and open government, I am reporting in public session any outcomes from today's closed session business. As a result of our closed session today, I wish to report the following. 21.1 minutes of the closed session of City Council, May 2nd, 2018. These minutes were acknowledged by Council. 21.2 minutes closed session, Committee of Council of May 9th, 2018. These minutes were acknowledged by Council. 21.3 litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board, conservation review board proceeding. This item was considered by council and direction was given to staff. 21.4 litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board, local planning appeal tribunal proceeding. This item was considered by council and direction was given to staff. 21.5, litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board, local planning appeal tribunal proceeding. This item was considered by council, referred, and direction was given to staff. 21.6, acquisition or disposition of land by municipality or local board, surplus property disposition matter. This item was received by staff and direction was given. Our next item of business is item, all those in favor of the in-camera? It's carried. Thank you. Our next item of business is item 22, the confirming bylaw. I have a motion moved by Councillor Willen, seconded by Councillor Fortini, that the bylaw before council at its regular meeting be given the required number of readings and the corporate seal affixed thereto to confirm the proceedings of the regular council meeting held May 16th. All those in favor? That's carried. Our last item is item 23, adjournment. Before we adjourn the meeting, I wish to advise the following City of Brampton proclamations will be made on behalf of the council. Neurofibromatosis Awareness Day, May 17th, to be given to the Neurofibromatosis Ontario. Myalgic encephalomyelitis, chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, and multiple chemical sensitivity International Awareness Day, May 12th. Bike Month of June 2018 will be given to the Brampton Cycling Advisory Committee. Thank you, members, for your respectful consideration of our decisions today. I want to thank our staff for your information and advice. Council is next scheduled to meet on Wednesday, May 30th at 7 p.m. and Wednesday, June 13th at 9:30 a.m. These 7 p.m. on Wednesday, May 30th? Is that wrong? What is it? 9:30? Okay. There were a few little surprises in here. I caught most of them, but okay. So let me start again. Council will meeting again Wednesday, May 30th at 9:30 a.m. and Wednesday, June 13th at 9:30 a.m. These meetings will be held not in Alderley, but in the West Tower, 2C, 2D, due to council chamber renovations underway. I have a motion moved by Councillor Bowman, seconded by Councillor Willems, that council do now adjourn again to meet for the regular meeting of council on Wednesday, May 30th at 9:30 or at the call of the mayor. All those in favor? That's carried. We're adjourned.